Anderson on the left, second row.
Dave, when you kind of just think about the emotions of yesterday, they were high on the field, off the field, after the game. How do you hope to see your guys just turn that into something in tomorrow's game?
I think certainly emotional last night. Didn't play a good baseball game. Things certainly transpired on the field. A lot of jawing back and forth. It's good to be able to have a day off, reset, have a workout here shortly, and there's going to be a lot of emotions tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's one part of it is trying to drown out the noise. Other part of it is using it as fuel. So I think that collectively, we'll be ready to go. I don't want to speak individually for some people. I mean, I think clearly, that team over there is, they like the villain type kind of role, and they feed off that. And so whatever, gets us going, the motivation is individually, collectively to win a baseball game, to win a series. And so again, it's going to be hostile, it's going to be noisy and rowdy, and it's up to us to still stay focused and compete and fight, like I've said time and time again.
Just focusing on the offensive side, in Game 1, we saw how the bottom of the order set the table for the top of the order. When you look at yesterday's performance, just how are you seeing just how important it is for the top of the order to perform to be successful in this series?
It's important. I thought, obviously the first game, I thought we did a nice job of setting the table, and Shohei had a nice game. And I still think Tommy's taking good at-bats. I think Gavin's taking good at-bats. And, Miggy Rowe is just kind of understands his role in the nine. And so, you need your best players to play well. I mean, it's a pretty simple formula. It's not easy to do, but it takes collectively all of us to take good at-bats and, to score some runs.
Let's go to Fabian, second row.
Yeah, to follow up on that, what have you sort of thought of Mookie's at-bats so far this series?
I thought early they started well, and I can see the I don't know if it's angst or the pressure of past performances starting to kind of bleed in, and that's something that I don't want to happen. I understand it. I believe he's going to come to life. I know he has a talent. Obviously, he's not afraid of the situation. So for me, it's more of just go out there and compete your tail off. And I think, again, the last few, I think that there was something that's sort of bleeding into the mindset, which it's up to all of us to make sure that he's in a good headspace to go out there and compete and not get too worried about each particular at bat.
Is that a thing where you have to kind of like pull him aside and sort of like reinforce that with him, or?
I'm gonna have a little conversation with him, and the fact is that you can't change the last X amount of postseason games, and I understand the burden that a player might have, but all anyone is concerned about is right now, and so how best prepare yourself mentally for tomorrow night and the first at bat, and so. That's going to be basically my message. And, and the funny thing is that it's not about, and you look at postseason performers, it's not that they overperformed their career stat line in the regular season. What they've done is that they kind of do what they've done in the regular season. But on that stage, they're considered postseason players. So in this particular case, all we expect Mookie is to be the same player he is in the regular season. And that's it.
Is there anything new on Freddie today?
Still sore. He's getting treatment, and don't know anything outside that. I think he's very grateful for a mental break today.
Juan, second row.
I'm kind of with that. Like, how do you balance out? Obviously, he played in Game 1, and then Game 2 kind of started barging on him a little bit. As you look forward, for 3 and 4, like, how do you balance, maybe giving him a blow or whatever with him playing those 2 games in a row?
Yeah, The thought is he's going to play tomorrow, and if he can't, then he won't. And then obviously, potentially, Perez will take down Game 4, the bulk of it, or whatever, and that might be a day that, we might give him an extra day. But again, if he's able to play in post, he'll be in there.
Obviously, you've seen Walker in kind of big stages in the past. What makes him kind of the right guy for you guys tomorrow in a pivotal Game 3?
I think what makes him the right guy is his past performance in those spots. I think that everyone can say they're a big game pitcher and loves that moment, but you aren't until you've done it and had success. And Walker's had success in some of the biggest games, certainly in my tenure.
Get Jack in the second round.
Obviously, like you guys talked about trying to match the Padres' intensity coming into this series. Like, does a game like last night, you think, fuel them any extra just with everything that went on? And does that kind of become the challenge again going into tomorrow is finding your own response to the level that they're at?
It's our own response. It's our own response. And I think that we're not trying to hit Tatis with the leadoff as a leadoff hitter in a 3-1 game. I mean, anyone that knows baseball knows that's the case. But you use that as fuel. But for us, individually and as a team, we need to find that fuel for ourselves. And so I'm not going to manufacture something that is not real. But again, it needs to be found. And I do believe that we had it in Game 1, and Game 2 just got away from us. So I do expect our guys to come out with that fight that I saw in Game 1.
And then just to follow up on Freddie, was there anything like specific that happened yesterday, like a certain play that aggravated?
It was a breaking ball against Darvish that he swung at, I think, in his second at bat, maybe that kind of tweaked him a little bit. I think that's what it was.
Go to Bill in the third row on the right side.
Yeah, getting back to Mookie, sounds like you're acknowledging that the narrative about his post-game struggles is getting to him a little bit. Is that fair? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, but I think that's natural. But I think it's up to, him, most important, myself, and, just to be himself. But I think certainly, there's been a lot of talk of it. He's mentioned it himself. And for me, it's 2 games, and it's, 4 or 5 official at-bats. And so for me, it's I just don't want to get too caught up in that, and most importantly, for him to get caught up in that.
Given that you don't know how much you might or might not get from Freddie, how essential is it then that Mookie turns this around?
Well, he's got to be Mookie. And like I said, I don't expect any more than he's done over his 8 or 9 year career. And it's also up to the other players to chip in also. And so, again, all my ask is for the guys to be what they have been, what they've shown throughout their careers.
Dylan in the second row on the left side.
Dave, right here. Obviously, for Buehler, it's been kind of an up and down road to get to this point. Where was kind of the low point, do you think, for him, and how do you think he kind of dug himself out of that and get himself to the point where, he pitched as well as he did in that clincher?
I think the low point, I don't know where we were at. I don't know if it was Denver or wherever, and I don't even think he got through 2 innings, and then that was a time that we ejected, and he went, to kind of figure some things out. There was a lot of self-doubt. There was some physical things that were, adding to that. But then he worked his way back, and I do think that the last couple starts got the confidence, and he'll be the first to tell you he loves the big moment, the big game, and this is just an opportunity for him to basically wash away and make right this season that he's had. So I think that was probably the low point. Again, I don't know exactly what game it was, but I'd never seen him like that. But this is the most confidence I've seen Walker in a couple years.
Go to Alden on the far right.
Hey, Dave, given just how important it is to get swing and miss in today's game, what kind of problems does it pose when you're facing a Padres team that's just so good at putting the ball in play, especially in this setting?
Yeah, that's fair. It is important because it's a variable that you don't have to contend with as far as ball in play. Just as short as yesterday, You can look at Darvish. There were a lot of balls in play, not a lot of punch, went 7 innings. So I think that the thing is, obviously I think anyone would like punch, but, I still welcome soft contact and being able to make a play. When the ball goes out of the ballpark, that's where it starts to get a little tough to defend, obviously. So I definitely think in the right moment, swing and miss is crucial, is really important. But I would still like to keep the ball in the ballpark and give ourselves a chance to convert some outs.
Mike, over here in the front of the
Hey,
left.
Dave. Have you given any thought to moving Mookie back to the leadoff spot?
No, I haven't. I think that, again, I just don't think that hitting first or second at this point is going to change much. I think Shohei's in a really good spot. We scored a lot of runs this year, and I just don't think that after 2 games or 3 games that it calls for that.
David in front.
Dave, last night, did the ball that Machado threw into your dugout almost hit you? And did you feel like that should have been an ejection? Because Tripp Gibson went over there right away to try to intervene, but that seemed to be what sparked the jawing between Flaherty and Machado. Did it almost hit you? Did you know that it came in hot?
I didn't notice it at the time. I really didn't. I didn't notice it. I did see the video, and it was unsettling. Obviously, I have a relationship with Manny from years past. There was intent behind it. It didn't almost hit me because there was a net, and that was very bothersome. If it was intended at me, I'd be very. It's pretty disrespectful. So I don't know his intent. I don't want to speak for him, but I did see the video, and the ball was directed at me with something behind it. So, but I don't know what led to that. I didn't see it in real time, but I did see the video.
Did you feel after seeing the video he should have been ejected for that?
I don't think they should have had a little arm around each other conversation. If players can throw balls at opposing managers, Yeah, Andy. Sorry.
Your second. Oh, go ahead, Andy. Yes. Just wait for the mic, Andy. Yeah.
You said that you felt the ball was directed at you.
After I saw the video.
Did you have any dialogue with Manny before that?
The only dialogue I had was he was chirping at Jack, and I looked at him and shook my head and making a point that we wouldn't hit him on purpose to lead off an inning being down 2 runs. And again, the point being is I think he's using it as fuel. As a baseball person, anyone understands that you don't do that intentionally, put the leadoff man on base. With 3, 4, 5 coming up behind, it just makes no sense.
We'll take 2 last ones. Second row
Dave,
here.
with the intensity of this rivalry, you're mentioning what you saw in the video. You mentioned the Padres like that villain role. How much pressure is on you and the team to make sure you guys win Game 3?
Well, I think there's pressure on both teams. It's a very important game. It's a very pivotal game, and so, I mean, it's nothing new. It's an important game, and so we're both going to do everything we can to win this one.
Finish up with Barry.
Doc,
here.
just a few quick questions to wrap this up. So getting back to Freddie, if he can't go tomorrow, would there be any thought of taking him off the roster and replacing him? I know then you lose him for the next series too.
So there, with that, Barry, there would be no thought of taking him off the roster for that reason.
Okay, and then wrapping up everything from yesterday with Manny, with Tatis, and Profar goading on the fans, a lot of this, the Padres kind of like promulgated. What do you think of all that, and what's the place of that, and how should that be handled?
Well, I thought that Al Garcia's team did the best they could, kind of trying to keep these things in order. Again, like I said last night, Barry, it was an unfortunate situation. It's about emotions, and I do know the players just want to play baseball, and the fans want to cheer for their team. So I've never seen anything like that in Dodger Stadium, and I'm looking forward to playing game 3.
All right, thanks, Doc.
Thanks, guys.
See you
Yep.
tomorrow.